very cold chain bit. And obviously, wastages are very high to the tune of 30 to 40% of this horticulture produce gets wasted. So what Carrier did, and we worked with the National Center of Cold Chain to pick up one crop and see what can be done to make a change in that one crop. So we picked up a state in Punjab, a place called Abhor. We picked up a fruit which is called kinu. It's a citrus fruit. It is harvested between December and March, supplied mainly in the local markets. Its production is in abundance, but it's being highly perishable. It doesn't make across to the rest of the states. Losses are very high, 32% losses. So we worked with Mr. Charaya. He's a farmer from the state. He's an aggregator. He picks up produce from the other farmers and then processes it and ships it across. So when we talked to him and we asked him why his fruit doesn't move across the country, he said when the harvest starts from Jan, the temperature is around 21 degree and the wastage is close to 22%. But as the temperature moves up across Jan, Feb, March, the wastage moves from 22% to 32% and crosses 50% in March. And obviously, there's no point in continuing deliveries, so deliveries stop. And the only way the fruit is consumed is in the local market. How can you increase the holding life of this fruit? So baseline, if you talk about the bare fruit, it is about 10 days. They tried waxing it. It went up to, say, 20 days. Refrigeration can actually make it last for close to 2 months. So what we did was change the way the fruit moves. So you see the food supply chain without cold chain. It was cultivation, directly storage, and then moved to the market. With cold chain, we introduced pre-cooling soon after cultivation. There was a bit of cold storage where you can hold it in case the market prices are not favorable. In case there's an oversupply in the market, you can hold the fruit. And then you move it using reefer trucks to the retail and consumer. The big factor always, and one of the inhibitions why people don't want to invest, is thinking that it's very expensive. So one of the focus areas of this pilot study was to show the viability of the investment versus the returns. So you can see that the price, what normally was available, say about 27,000 per metric ton, he was able to realize up to 40,000 rupees a metric ton. So the fruit was moved all the way from Abhor in Punjab to Bangalore. And with pre-cooling and reefer trucks, these were the two main elements that were introduced. So in pre-cooling, he invested in a 30-ton capacity reefer truck, which in December, January, the ambient in Punjab is about 15 degree. Using these pre-coolers, he was able to bring it down to 4 degree very quickly, and then use reefer trucks to move the fruit to Bangalore. So let's see the business impact, and that's the bottom line. That's what everybody is interested in. So without cold chain, if his profits are about 2% in earlier, with cold chain, they went up from 13% to 21%. The other very important thing these days is whether technology that is being introduced is sustainable technology. What happens to the carbon footprint? Are we introducing more damage by introducing technology? So what we realized was actually food loss comes down by 76%, and the CO2 emission reduction was a good 16%. So it was introduction of green technology, sustainable technology, which on one side reduce food losses and also reduce the carbon footprint. So what were the lessons learned? What did we achieve? So cold chain infrastructure is the main bottleneck. It's a question of a mindset where people are not investing. Profitability in payback is a big question which people want to say, and we did prove that cold chain is profitable. It needs to roll out right from farm gate to fork. At the farm gate, you need to create infrastructure. It is an enabler. It is a big enabler to reach new markets, and it is an enabler to come out of this need to sell in desperation. So you can hold the fruit and not sell in desperation. Let's see a small video about the pilot study. It's not connecting. The link is not working. No. Anyway, so there's a technical issue with the video, but let's proceed. I think we've covered most of the important aspects. So let's start with the discussion on the panel. Looking at this cold chain pilot that was done, I think one of the main points that came across was lack of awareness on the viability, profitability, and the proof that it works. Proof that it works, it pays back. So with that, I would like to start the session today. Hi. So we'll start with Manish. Manish has been involved with cold chain, with logistics and supply chain for a very long time. And Gati is, again, I think they have the largest footprint across the country. So Manish, would you like to, talk about what Gati is doing in cold chain space?
Uh, Sorry.
I think
Hi.
Manish has a
Yeah,
presentation.
I have a presentation, but
Sure,
thanks a lot,
please.
Pankaj. Morning, everyone. So thanks so much, Pankaj, for the introduction and for your presentation. So I'll start by talking about, the evolution of cold chain in India. Some of you are probably very familiar with, cold chain and probably already know these things. And for the rest of you, this might be interesting to know. So before 1990, India had a very good footprint in few states, UP, Punjab, and West Bengal, but they were mainly potato stores, and they were mainly ground level storage. There wasn't a lot of control on quality and good storage practices and good distribution practices. Uh, Transportation was done with very primitive, reefer units that were kind of made in India. Um, and there wasn't enough food processing that was happening in the country. And whatever limited food processing was there, the markets were also very limited. They were only in metro areas. Afterwards, next decade, probably there was a larger footprint of warehouses. Food processing started to emerge. There was a lot of push from the government, and we started seeing the effect of that, uh, because of the increased number of storages across the country. And then finally, after 2000, we started seeing G plus 3, G plus 4 racking inside cold warehouses. But at the same time, and also, sorry, new markets opened up for food processing companies, uh, tier two cities, and new food processing companies tried to start up. But there were still a lot of issues that needed to be fixed, and there was a lot of challenges. Yeah. That's okay. I don't. It's okay. Thanks. Thank you, though. So the some of the challenges that people still grapple with. So, for example, low volumes. So when someone has a very low volume order to be sent to, let's say, a remote location or a small city, today in cold chain, there isn't really a viable solution always available. You know, there's a lot of warehouses, but there isn't enough integration within this network. So there's a lot of fragmentation still within the cold chain industry. Uh, Temperature maintenance is still a concern. You know, a lot of food processing companies, pharma companies, they're still worried that probably temperature integrity is not going to be maintained. Inventory levels are higher than they need to be. So if you compare with foreign countries, we spend a lot more money in India on just holding inventory. So the cost of wastage, the cost of interest, the cost of space, these are all things that are built into the cost of the product, and it's a waste. Because it's so fragmented, there are a lot of vendors that need to be managed. So typically you see in large food processing companies or any other FMCG companies, there are big teams that are hired only to deal with multiple service providers, multiple transporters. Again, this is a waste. I mentioned quality, uh, so this is basically what we're still dealing with. So while there's been a lot more awareness about cold chain in the last few years, and there's been many more refrigerated warehouses than there were before, uh, you know, probably there aren't enough warehouses, but probably the bigger challenges are these. This is a little bit about us. This is our refrigerated warehouse. This is our first facility which we built last year. Um, Gati, Kausar, so sorry, this slide is some wrong dates over here. We actually started in 1984 with refrigerated trucking, and we currently have a fleet size of 200 plus trucks. Quality is a very big priority for us. So we're looking at ISO 22000 certification, etc. Um, as I said, we started with our first facility last year, and our goal is to offer integrated solutions. So we're not looking just at creating warehouse space. We're looking at offering solutions that help address the challenges that most companies face today in cold chain. So how does this work? So it's pretty much, it's very simple, but the only element probably that's added over here is the planning. So, forecast based uh, tracking and inventory storage planning to help minimize the inventory. Warehouses that are strategically located so that, especially after GST, people can take advantage of having fewer CNF agents, fewer warehouses. Of course, trucks and last mile delivery with proper quality control. Um, and this is a little bit about how we do this in the back end with our technology. So real-time temperature updates, integrated order management and warehouse management systems, and vehicle tracking and temperature alerts in case something goes wrong en route. Um, so we're looking at, so not only are we looking at building building high quality warehouses and operating high quality trucks, but we're looking at combining those two things and offering an integrated service in a network where customers can access smaller markets with lower minimum order quantities, and new companies in food processing can emerge and get their product to the market, which, by the way, is one of the biggest hurdles today. This is another picture of one of our warehouses from the inside. So traceability is a big priority for us. Um, Going to go ahead and food safety. This is a award that CI holds every year for food safety. So we won last year for good warehousing practices. This is some of our customer base. So sorry about the plugs, but this is a little bit about Gati, Kausar, and what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manish. Gati actually needs no introduction, Manish, for audience like this. I mean, Gati is a well-known brand, but thanks for sharing some of the new developments across the company.
Thank you.
And so,
you know, to ask you, where do you think Gati and the cold chain industry in India would lead, say, in the next, say, 2 to 5 years? What you say?
Yeah, probably it would be difficult for me to comment on Gati, where will we be in 2 to 5 years. But as far as the industry, like I said, if you compare India to other more developed countries, or uh, uh, let's say chicken consumption or fruit and vegetables, you already talked about the amount of wastage that's happening in the country. Um, but when we look at processed food also, so you say ice cream consumption, chocolate consumption, chicken consumption, fish consumption per capita, we are way below any other developed country. Even if you think about countries in Southeast Asia or China, obviously Europe and the US. So there's a huge potential to grow and evolve. Today, the biggest issue is that there's a lot of companies that have been working for the last probably 10, 20 years that over time have developed a very strong and sustainable supply chain network. But new companies find it very difficult to get the product to the market, like I was saying. So I think once we start addressing that problem, probably we'll start to see a lot of changes in the FMCG and foods sector in India. So, and this is exactly what, as Gati, that's what we are doing. So, like I was presenting, we offer like, no minimum order quantity.